Welcome to episode 7 of Ask Miko, Sex, Sports, and Everything in Between. I am your host, Miko Grimes. And today we have an amazing show for you. I'm so excited that I have him here. 7-time NFL pro, Larry Johnson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on. Good to see you again.
Oh man, good to see you too. Last time I saw you was at the USTA Juniors tennis tournament, right?
Yes.
With your daughter. How's she doing?
She's doing really well now. She's kind of picked up the sport and kind of ran with it, and she's taking it more serious every day.
That's cool. Good. So I don't know if you've seen any episodes, but this show is called Ask Miko, and people can hit me on Instagram and ask me literally any question they want. Doesn't matter what it is. And I answer them, and I'm brutally honest about every answer. I don't care. And if there's any questions you don't want to answer, you have a right to not answer them. Okay. Now, normally the questions we both answer, but I got some really good questions for you. So it's almost going to be like an interview, low key. Are you cool with that?
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'm going to be chiming in, of course. You know, I like to talk shit. I got a lot of shit to say about everything.
Right.
But I'm going to be chiming in, but I really want the focus to be on you because you're such an interesting person. Let me tell you, you're interesting. But so how we're going to start the show, the first question I want to ask you is to tell everybody how we met. You remember how we first met?
I can't even remember.
I think the first time we officially met, like we run into each other a lot, right?
Right. I know it's that like Brian McKinney used to have that kickball, the kickball tournament, or the
charity kickball tournament. So every year, Brian McKinney puts on a celebrity kickball tournament where NFL pros play against the winner of a kickball tournament, and it's for charity. So I would see you there every year. We would be playing kickball, having fun. I feel like that's when we officially met.
Yeah, we were out there taking it serious. It was supposed to be for fun, but we was out there taking it serious.
Yeah, listen, I was just trying to keep up with y'all, okay? I was usually the only girl in the whole thing. I did play in the NFL, but Brian used to always let me play. So I used to really like y'all because y'all took it dead fucking serious. And then I don't think we've ever won. Have we ever won?
I don't even remember keeping score.
Yes, the score. Because this kickball tournament, they play every week. They're in tournaments, like this is their thing. Wow. And then here come a bunch of NFL players that don't play kickball that feel like, oh, we could beat these regular Joes, these dads, and all this. I don't think we've ever won a game.
Right. I don't think so either, to tell you the truth. Guys were leaving, taking drink breaks. Like guys were really...
we haven't. Yeah, we get there about 2 hours early. Right. Drinking, I'm smoking weed. But it was all in the love and for charity, so it's always a good thing. Yes. All right, ma'am. It's been 12 years since you played in the NFL. What are you doing these days?
Well, I'm teaching right now. I don't have to do much right now as far as looking for a job and all that. So I do a lot of teaching on my podcast, Sight to the Blind, which is on Apple, Spotify, and I do a lot of work online too. You follow my Instagram. I just pretty much try to tell people what's going on in this world that they don't see, or really the subliminal messaging that they don't see that I see, that they need to pay attention to, because it's going to help them in the long run when this system is kind of faulting or shaking, and people can kind of tell when things aren't right now, and they need an explanation of why things aren't right. And I kind of give them a different view of what this world really is.
Right, man. So I follow you, of course, as you said. And let me tell you, you are a very interesting follow. But before we get into all the reasons I follow you, everybody had a whole bunch of football questions. Can you answer some football questions? Can we get some football shit? Okay, so first question is, you were called Grandmama and the Diamond during your NFL career. Do you have any other nicknames, and did you like those nicknames?
I ain't like that Grandmama. And Chris Berman called me that only because Larry Johnson used to play for the Charlotte Hornets. He was Grandmama. And I ain't like that because I wasn't going to put on no dress like he did and be pretending to dunk basketballs and all that. I didn't like when they called me Grandmama. Mitch Holtz has called me Centaur, which was like half man, half beast. Even that was more weird. The only nicknames I got was Truck Stick or just LJ. Or Burner. That's like guys call me that in college.
I didn't think you liked Grandmama, and I probably wouldn't have liked that either, not because of the dress thing, but that was somebody else's nickname.
Right. Like how
That
much
was
like just because I
annoying.
got the same name don't mean you're gonna bring that name over to me. I don't like that.
Oh my God. So this is a really funny question here. Says, what was going through your head when you pulled Troy Polamalu's hair during that tackle?
You know, to tell the truth, people keep saying it used to get at me on that, but the hair is part of the jersey. They made the hair part of the jersey. So I was like, that Pert Plus commercial came to my mind. I was like, I want to see how durable this is. I want to see if this is a sew-in. I wanted to see. So I was like, all right, I knew I wasn't going to catch him by his feet. So I was like, I wanted to grab the hair. Low key, I wanted to grab the hair. So I grabbed and pulled on it, but I got a flag because I held on it and kind of pulled it up. And that's how they hit me with the flag.
You held on. He was already tackled, getting up off the ground, and you were still holding the hair.
I was still holding it. Yeah, I was tight. I was just
tight. Why
tight.
were you tight? Because of the pig?
Either that too, and plus we weren't really doing anything on offense. We were struggling, and then the whole team come out. He must be that dude on that team that I hear he's like a very soft spoken, very like top tier gentleman guy. And as soon as I did it, everybody came running over to me and try to fight me. The whole team came over. I was like, damn, this dude is really like the pride and joy of the Steelers organization.
You didn't know that? You didn't know?
I mean, I kind of knew that, but it's the funny thing. We both had the same agent. And it's funny that when Kansas City had the pick at 16, they switched with Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh got Troy Polamalu, and then I jumped down to 27, and that's when Kansas City picked me. I was excited. I thought I was going to go to Pittsburgh because I was right there at Penn State. I thought I was like, damn, that's an easy little 4 hours over. And plus I had the fan base there, but it just didn't happen that way.
So that's why you pulled the hair, because he took you a bit.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He took a couple million off me too.
Oh God, yeah, that's true. Going from 16 to 27, yeah. Yeah. See, that's why I gotta put my glasses on, y'all. I'm so sorry. That's why I got them right here. Boom. You was that deal running back. Boy, how did you, first of all, how you run? How you get that many carries? Like, God damn, they was using you as a workhorse. I did get some questions about people asking if you wanted to, what would you do to change the running back contracts and the situations in the NFL? Because back then, you know, you was rushing, you was getting 30-something carries a game. Right. Now, running backs don't get that type of workload.
They're wide receivers at this point. They're slot backs. They just they're tiny. So I mean, like I said, the game changed so much that they're having quarterbacks throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game, and the offenses are pretty much all the same. There's no, power eye. There's no slot back. It's to me, it's garbage right now. It's just sugary down. The running back, the fullback position is non-existent. So the running back
got rid of that like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Now running back is next.
Yeah, running back position is next.
Damn. You suffer from bipolar disorder, which you claim caused your well-known documented pattern of bad behavior. Have you ever had any erratic episodes since then?
No, I do have little mania episodes here and there, but they're not as violent as it used to. Plus, I don't go to clubs anymore, and that's what my biggest problem was going out and drinking and going out and drinking and being undiagnosed and really not knowing how to be emotionally mature with myself. And so my thing was, okay, I go from the field, now that adrenaline, that mania is still there. How can I get rid of it? So I would go from playing in games, going into nightclubs, and then you add alcohol on top of that, then you never know what you're going to get. Like, I had a close friend used to say that, like, I was a great person to be around from the hours of 11 and 3. They said between 3 and 5 and 6, or 3 and 6, I was a totally different person. So wow. I pretty much know my triggers. I know where I can't go. I know the people I can't be around. That's why I haven't had any episodes recently. I'm literally in the house. Like, the NFL pays me a disability check to be in the house. So that's exactly where I'm at, in the house.
When were you diagnosed?
This was 2000. This was already after I've been playing. So this is around 2016, I think.
So you never knew you were bipolar. You just thought, like, what did you think was happening to you?
I thought it was it was two things. I thought it was the alcoholism, and I thought it was childhood trauma, which is a combination of both. But when you play, I played since I was 9. I played tackle football since I was 9. So
Ooh, yeah.
since 9, it's been 0 to 60 like this with my emotions. 0 to 60, 0 to 60, 0 to 60. And you go all the way to my, being in the professional level. That's a lot. That's a lot of messing up your emotions. That's a lot of, chemical imbalance that's going on. And that's kind of adds on to it. Plus you get older, then I wanted to party myself to death. That was my thing. It's like if I could go out and party myself to death. I got into, at that time in Miami, it was the Molly and ecstasy phase. So I was deep into that. Plus, I didn't have nothing to do. So I was waking up. First thing I would do, 4 or 5 pills a night. It would be 10, 15 pills a night. It just didn't matter to me. Like I was going to party myself to death. And that's what I was looking for. And the funny thing about that is the more I did it, it was the more I was awakened to a spiritual side of that I didn't know existed until I pushed my spirit and pushed my soul to the brink of collapse, that I actually start seeing things that I didn't think I was going to be able to see. And that's when I started to turn myself around. I was like, all right, this is definitely a different world outside of the world that I'm in. I'm living this world through the flesh. There's obviously a world, spiritual world after this, and I'm keep pushing myself into it. If I don't get some help, and if I don't get some understanding of what this really is, I'm really going to be damned after this life. So that's when I really started to put things in perspective.
Well, I'm glad you did, child. I feel like you're not even the same person. I feel like I've gotten to know you over the years, and the stuff I used to read about you when I didn't know you. And I'm just like, I would have never, if I didn't know any of that stuff about you before, and I met you from kickball and your daughter and all that stuff, I would have, if somebody told me some of the stuff you did, I would have been like, the fuck out of here.
Oh yeah,
he's so calm. He's quiet. You and your daughter, y'all locked in. Like it's just beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So I was like,
and most of it is just your environment. I mean, it's your mindset and your environment. And this, you've been in the league. A lot of players been in the league so long, they don't know how to walk away from that lifestyle. And you have to it has to be purged out of you. It's like a long road to get in that, that mania, that vibe out of your system, because you think like, all right, I'm gonna play Sunday, then I'm gonna go out Monday. I know I'm gonna go out drinking Friday or Thursday or Saturday, and you forget, like you're not in that lifestyle anymore. And then you push it to the max, and you're like, I don't have to wake up. I don't have to go to sleep either. So there've been days where I don't go to sleep. It'd be 3 or 4 days I stay up. I be out and forget I'm supposed to be home while I'm out more. So I was like, yeah, you tire yourself out after that.
Next question. You should have gone to jail for abuse, for your abusive incidents towards women, but because you were wealthy and famous, you got away with slaps on the wrist. Have you apologized or made peace with those women?
Some of them I did, but it wasn't because I was rich and famous. I mean, I paid out of the pocket. They took deals. Like I paid 10,000, maybe a couple of times, and then like one time I paid 100 grand. But it was situations with some of the situations with the same people. And it was never really random people. It was just awkward situations that happened with women that I was leading on and making them feel like it was a relationship there. And they do. If I show you husband material, which is what I'm good at. I've been raised in a household with my parents are still married. So every girl I met, I was giving them husband material. And then not really committing to them or committing with different other girls. Like I just had that vibe of doing it.
How do you give a husband material without committing to them?
Like committed, but to me, I'm a lover. I'm not really even a fighter, to tell you the truth. I'm a lover person. Like I grew up a shy kid. I grew up, you know, making mixtapes, R&B slow jams. When I lived in Maryland, it was 95.5 or 93.9 KISS FM. I was the kid staying up at late, putting the tissue in the little tape cassette so you could dub over top of it, and then giving you a little mixtape to your crush and all that. That was me. That's always been me. But when you add fame in it, you add power in it, you add, you know, financial stability in it, you can sell girls a good dream, and you don't even have to do much to that. You know, you just got to be affectionate. You got to be there. You got to be present. And I was doing that for certain girls that wanted more, and I just didn't want more. And then these arguments would happen. Of course, like I said before, from 3 to 6, these arguments will always happen, and that's when I would pop off.
Bad time.
And now, the only thing that really saved me, mind you, and this is what women should really pay attention to, because I understand this more. When men get in these domestic violence situations, they know when to stop. They know when too much is too much. So when they be like, "Oh, he's out of control," like, no, men know when they're in that mode and they know they're about to hit or punch or push. They know they do enough pressure to not really cause real damage. Those are the ones you really got to watch out for, because there's guys that'll just hit you without thinking, but there's guys who'll lean on you and know how much pressure to put on you. And I was one of those guys. I know how much I could get away with. And so every time I got arrested, it was always been like a push or a shove or some technical thing that got me out of it. And I was just smart about my chaos.
So you don't think that you caused any real damage to those women? Like you say, you just a push or something, like you never like closed fist punched a girl?
Nah, it was like
nobody ever had broken bones. There was no bleeding.
It was never that. It was more or less the embarrassment of it. It was more or less in public being embarrassed. It was more or less, you know, we in the room and I'm pushing you out the room or something like that. I mean, mind you, I'm not trying to demean the value of domestic violence, but it was more or less pushes and shovings. Like, it's never been like you see today, like girls running to Instagram and show them how they got a black eye and all that. It was, for me, it was nothing like that. It was more or less the embarrassment of the situation of me yelling or screaming, punching walls or throwing furniture or something like that.
But you never hit anybody?
No, to tell you the truth, it's more or less it's been pushing. It's really I really didn't just but it's always been like mush, like here, get out of my way. Like it's more, it's been that.
Did any girl ever hit you back?
Nah, one did, but it was just at that time I was so drunk, I just took it. Like it was like one of these, and I was like,
did it hurt at all?
No, I was drunk, so it was like.
I tell women all the time not to hit men. I mean, if you hit me, I'm gonna pull a gun on you. That's the kind of girl I am.
Right. I mean, I'm surprised that didn't happen to me. But you know what this is. But you know also that I also understood about myself is that I was a predator with women. Well, I would prey on women for some subconscious reason that didn't have a father at home. Or they had weak fathers.
That's common because it's almost like she has no one to run to.
It's not the run to part. It's just I know that she's looking for that
father figure,
fraternal figure, and I can give you that energy. I can give you that covering, that security, financially or physically. I just for some reason I ended up with women who didn't have great fathers at home.
You saying it was intentional or just so happened?
It just so happened. It's just what I was attracting. And I can understand that's what I was attracting. I wasn't attracting strong women, because strong women know when they look at me, they were like, yeah, I could tell it ain't all right upstairs.
Yeah, he's fucking with
like you seem like I can just zone out. Like I could just be zoned out. I'd be like, yeah, this one's working through something right now or going through something. So they saved themselves not putting up with my BS.
So I think you're engaged, right?
No, I broke that off.
You're single?
No, I'm not single. I got another one now.
Damn, that was.
But you know, to tell you the truth, my walk that I'm on, of course, we all, you know, the thing about Israelites and biblical heritage and bloodlines are now coming up now. Now I look at my relationships in a spiritual sense. If you're not trying to do it the biblical way, I can't do nothing with you. In my last relationship, she wanted to go back into these, you know, the Divine Nine and Greek sorority life because her daughter was going to pledge that year. And that's when we were engaged. I was like, look, we're going to be under one roof. I'm the head of the household. I can't be out here talking against idol worship. And then you coming through the back door with your daughter. I say, this doesn't look right. And we got into a spiritual argument about it. That's like, I'm going to walk away. And so the next woman that came into my life, we started doing, Shabbats. We started doing, we were going to do our feast of tabernacles this week. We started praying together. We started doing Bible studies, all of that. So I'm in heaven right now with this one.
Found somebody that's like you.
Right. Funny enough that she lives a little bit like me. Right.
There's no abuse. You ain't found a reason. None of that's going on.
No. So the other thing is too that women should pay attention to is you have to understand what a man's authority over his life is. If it's money, he's going to be disciplined to make money. Mm-hmm. If it's his job, he's going to be disciplined to keep his job. But with me, I didn't care about money. I only care about playing football. But if you cut football off or you cut my money off, I don't care. I'd rather play football free. But when I demonstrated to her that I no longer act the way I act because I have a different authority over my life, that drew her a little bit more into me because I made it a point that my non-negotiables in this relationship is that we follow the Most High straight out. So if you be like, oh, I'm not going to do this day of rest with you, or I'm not going to do this holiday with you, I'll cut it off because my mind is like, no, this is what's making me. This is what's making me go straight ahead. This is what's keeping me calm. This is what's keeping me focused. So yeah, it's never been that. I don't even scream no more. And usually when I scream like because I'm hyped. I do that for my podcast, but I don't scream at her or like be belligerently cursing and all that. I don't even drink around her. She don't even like when I drink. I drink like maybe one glass of wine around her, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. She keep me alive. I mean, mind you, the flesh is weak. The flesh is weak. So if it's good, I'll be like, I'll drink water for the rest of my life if I'm getting it like this.
Oh man. So outside of her allowing you to follow your path, are there any other things that you see as deal breakers with a woman for you?
No, that's it. The scripture is the deal breaker. Before, I used to have I used to bring girls through so many hoops and obstacles.
Moving the goalposts.
It was like, my thing was, you had to go out with me. If you can go out in the club with me and stay till 5 o'clock in the morning, you was with me for a while. Then it became, okay, if you could do drugs with me and go out, we good. And then it turned into, all right, if we bringing other girls into the bed, we good. So it was always like one thing after, like really fleshy stuff. It was one thing after another, after another, after another. And now it completely changed. It's really just all about, if we can walk biblically, we're going to walk biblically.
That's what's up. I'm glad you found you somebody. In an interview, you said, had you known about CTE as a kid, you would still play and allow your son to play football. Do you still stand on that statement?
I can't make my son not do something. Like, I can tell him this is what's going to happen to you. I can educate him on this game, but it wouldn't be because of the CTE. It would be because of coaches and the organization and the business part of it. I wouldn't want my son to be part of that business atmosphere of football, but I can't tell him no. If he got a talent for it, he got a talent for it. I can only help him out and make sure he stays safe. But with the CTE thing, there's ways around it that we didn't have in the earlier stages of football life. When we put on pads, we were out there banging and hitting with no technique. We was out there trying to kill each other. We were out here spearing each other. Now the equipment has changed. The rules changed. They teach tackling more than they ever teached it when I was growing up. And it's completely different now. Guys are being saved. They're not doing full contact every single day. Before, we were doing full contact and drills and the Oklahoma drill that people know, Nutcracker, all that. We was out here trying to cause concussions in practice before we caused them in games. So I don't know. I don't have a son, but I have a daughter. So I lucked out. So I didn't have to make that decision.
Well, I want to correct you on something. My son will not play in the NFL. He won't ever play any football. He can play little tackle with his cousins in the park, the little shit they do. But nah, after what I've witnessed, and even Brent agrees, like we would never want our son to play football. First of all,
Really? Even Brent didn't want him to play?
absolutely not. Yes. Brent didn't even like football for real.
What?
Brent, you know what it was? Brent liked football in the sense of like Sundays.
Uh-huh.
That's it.
Right.
That's it. He hated Monday through Saturday. He hated the business side of it. He hated the politics. He hated that their names were on the back of the jerseys. Like he just feel like, why does it matter who's what? Like because of course his journey was different,
Right.
undrafted, never respected until he finally, got going and everything. So Brent wanted to be in the NBA, but he was constantly told he was too short. Brent can hoop. I'm talking about hoop, okay? But he felt like he wouldn't have a chance at the NBA, so he just chose football as a means to an end, basically, to get money, get out of the hood. And we kind of both feel like because of CTE, because of the concussions, because of the contracts not being guaranteed and all those things, in our opinion, football is for poor people.
Right.
Like, why would you want your child to experience that, to possibly lose their life, brain damage, all those things if you're wealthy already?
Right.
It's
Like it is
like, yeah,
when you put it, it does sound like a peasant sport now when you say it.
I see a lot of extremely wealthy men in there. So like even Dion, I see his sons playing. I'm just like, you just cut off 3 toes, bro. Like, why would you want your kids to go through that? And they don't. There's so many other sports to play.
Right.
But I mean, to each their own. Like that's their kids. This is my son. My son's playing tennis, as you know, whatever. But yeah, I would never want him to play football or soccer. People don't realize soccer is also high concussion rates as well.
Right.
But the contracts are guaranteed. It's way more money, so it's a different situation.
Right.
And then all the lying that goes on in the NFL. All the bullshit that you have to go through. It's a lot.
But I feel like if you wanted to do basketball at this point, you would get the money, but then they would want you to get a silk press and paint your nails, wearing dresses and makeup. I feel like that's where basketball getting just to get a couple of million. That's those deals that they're handing out.
Oh man, we're gonna get into it now. Before we get into the mess, I want us to have this is a good question, okay? Yeah. Tell me about the motivational edge.
Oh, that was a nonprofit I was working with. Well, I sat on the board for
no longer with them?
I'm no longer with them. You know the funny why I actually got kicked out of that. And you know why I got kicked out? I got kicked out because people were calling my boss or calling the guy that brought me in. They called him, and it was about that Kobe Bryant. They were upset that when Kobe Bryant died, that's when I first started getting into conspiracy theories online. And it was about Kobe Bryant dying, and the cartoon that was called Chamberlain Heights had Kobe in a helicopter crash.
I remember that.
So then obviously they say he died in a helicopter crash. So it was just, I brought that out and posted it. Then somebody called him. It's like, oh, what is he talking about? It doesn't look good. This guy just died. I was like, all right, man, I'll step down. You could take the money. I'll just step down. And that's what I did. I just stepped down. I was trying to help kids down the La Plata area in Miami. They had a facility and all that. So they were just trying to get kids to get them a career through music or through whatever their talents were. And that's why I was like, all right, I'll walk away if this is too much of a hassle, what I'm posting online. So I just left it.
I run into some obstacles like that as well. That's why I don't do a lot of things that I would love to do, like motivational speaking and things like that, because people vilify you when you have your own independent thoughts. Like just for example, the podcast I did episode 5 with Brent, and I said that I wouldn't want my son to marry a white woman. People call me racist for that, and I was just like, whoa. And just a lot of controversial things that I say will cause an organization to get backlash for even fucking with me.
Right.
So
like,
that's
why
the
wild part though. Like, why?
They're scared. They're scared. They don't want anybody that isn't on code of just being an even keel, think like everybody else. be normal. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like you can't be an independent thinker and also try to do philanthropy and educate children because you get a bad reputation.
But how you gonna make money if you ain't different?
People think that they can make money by being the same.
That don't make sense. That business plan don't make sense.
Trash. And I'm so glad that you brought my questions are booming, by the way. First of all, I'm going in order, just so you
Okay.
know.
Okay.
So I'm killing. Look at my next question. Boom. What do you think when you hear people call you a conspiracy theorist?
I mean, I'm more of a conspiracy realist. I mean, it ain't nothing I say has been lied about or fake. It's just after time goes on, I'm proven right, but people forget. Like we can get into when I said the hot button topic when I was on Twitter before I got hacked off was about Megan Thee Stallion's mother dying when she had a tumor. And I said that, I know people in the music business sacrifice their parents, sacrifice their kids. So I said it. I said she blood sacrificed her mom. Like, oh no. She was already booming when she was not. No, she was not. If you look at the numerology and the dates to her mom dying, it matches right up to the Skull and Bones 322. She died on March 22nd. So I got into that, and people start calling me a conspiracy theorist. I'm like,
So when you say rituals and stuff, because these are some of the questions I had. Most of these questions are coming from other people. When you say a ritual, well, why would somebody sacrifice their mother to be famous?
Because that's usually the surefire ticket. That's usually somebody that's extremely close to you shows how dedicated you are to the cause. Now, if you would say like your worst enemy, I mean, that's not really going to pull you. That you already don't like that person. If you say somebody that's like a distant relative, it really ain't going to give you. It's not the same juice. But somebody that's right next to you, somebody that birthed you, that's like a strong connection. They know, okay, you are really serious about doing everything we say do. That means we want you to stick your tongue out. That means if we want you to be butt naked on stage, you be butt naked on stage. If we want you to put on a whole red devil outfit, you're going to do it. You're going to do all the necessary things for us to make us feel that you are down for the cause. And that's why they pick people that's really close to him. I mean, Jay-Z talked about his nephew in that song, Lost Ones. And he sacrificed his nephew. I mean, you can go down the list of how many people have been wiped out next to celebrities. It makes no sense to not pay attention to it and knowing that's how it happens.
So I'm gonna get to Jay-Z because I got a lot of questions about that. But you said they. Who are the theys that are doing this, that are asking people to do this, and how are they in control of who's famous and who makes the money?
Oh, it's easy. If you can go, all right, I'll break it down to you like this. You know, black sororities, which they call them the Divine Nine. They came from Prince Hall Freemasonry, which is all black, which means I'm gonna tell you, York Rite and Scottish Rite Freemasons are all white Freemasons. That means they don't let black folks into York Rite, Scottish Rite.
Mm-hmm.
Prince Hall is only for black folks. So
Mm-hmm.
most celebrities or most entertainers, most Hollywood, even Jay-Z's been having a picture of him at a Prince Hall Mason meeting. What's the kid that died?
Trayvon
Martin. His dad is a Prince Hall Freemason. So that was a sacrifice.
You think he sacrificed his son?
Yes, that's what they do. So it goes Divine Nine, Prince Hall Freemasonry, York Rite, Scottish Rite Freemasonry, Jesuits. Then it goes into Rome. Then you have the Bilderbergers, the CFR, the Trilateral Commissions. You have that. Above them is the Club of Rome. Above them is the Black Pope, White Pope. Above that, of course, Satan sits at the top of this pyramid. But the lower level stuff that we see are being managed by these celebrities are all Freemasons. So the white Freemasons control the black Freemasons control the Divine Nine, which is the Kappas, the Omegas, and so forth. They're all connected. That's what's running this matrix that we're living in.
We gonna need more than an hour to get into all this stuff.
Do it.
I'm talking about me and you.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna need us to hang out one day because it's not like I don't want to believe you, but I need more. Okay. I would probably need more education on all of the Masons and I don't have all that.
You need a PowerPoint.
Yes,
You need
and
a
that's why it's
PowerPoint.
hard for me to argue with someone when I don't have the knowledge. Like,
Yeah, I feel you.
I can't sit here and say you're lying. I can't sit here and
Mhm.
say it's not true when I haven't done any research. I don't know those things. And I think that's what I see in your comments a lot. A lot of people are calling you crazy because we haven't done the research, you
Right.
know? And I'm not ignorant to not think that there are things going on that are outside of our control that are, you know, being, you know, done. But I just don't have the knowledge to sit here and tell you that you're not telling the truth.
I
You
mean,
know?
it is crazy. Like normal people don't do the stuff that I've read or found out about, but people have been doing this for generations. The Egyptians got into blood sacrifices. The Mayans got into blood sacrifice. If you go all the way back to prehistoric days, they were worshiping their gods their way, which was spilling blood. Most of it was homosexuality. I mean, you know, biblical what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. Like that stuff hasn't changed nowhere since to then. People, human behavior has not changed one bit. We are no different from the people that lived in the biblical times. We do the same exact things, except we have Gucci slides and iPhones in our hands. I mean, we don't do anything different that they did.
Oh man, now you get me all off track. Let me just get this question off. This is probably the most asked question that I got. Okay,
Mhm.
you used to throw up the rock when you played football. There is a rumor you were roommates with Jay-Z. Is that true? And what was your relationship, or is your relationship with Hove today?
I don't know why people. I know where people got that story from. That story was so old. It came from a blog site. This is before social media. I know exactly where that came. It came from either Lipstick Alley or Media Takeout, one of them old blogs. And I only reason why they think that is because I told people or people when I was in Hard Knocks, NFL Hard Knocks, I was in New York. I had a place in Long Island City, and at the time I was engaged. I was dating my fiance, which was Jaleesa Bermudez. You know her from
Yes.
106 at Park or in the center where she had her
Well, I
little
didn't know you
segment.
were dating her. That's okay.
Yeah, we were engaged for like, yeah, we were together like 3 years. So she was with me. So why would me, a grown man that was only going to be free in the summertime, be staying with Jay-Z when he had Beyonce and all that? I mean, why would I need to be a roommate with a grown man? That made no sense.
Yeah,
Like,
I
even if he
got that
told me to like
question
come
so
stay with
many
me, I
times.
still wouldn't have done it.
So you guys were friends.
Yes, I mean, I was in. So this is how it happened. I opened up a clothing store in Penn State, State College, PA, and we was trying to close Rockaware to sell Rockaware in the store. Somehow, I went to fashion show, which is a big thing in Vegas, and then that's how I met Dame Dash. My friends were close to that area, and they were looking for football players that could promote Team Rock, and they would come like they had Winky Wright, they had Zab Zuda, they had boxers that they already were wearing Team Rock, so they wanted to have football players. So we got Jonathan Vilma. It was him and me. So we were kind of trying to follow our careers, and they kind of just gave us free stuff. So when the split happened between Dame and Jay, I got picked up and went with Jay. So I went from Team Rock to doing Rockaware. So then because I was in New York, I was always at these events and parties, and they liked having me around because I kept my mouth shut. I wasn't that guy. I was like, oh, I'm with Jay. I was not that guy. I was always in the back or next to him or real quiet. And so
Mhm.
I blended in. And that's how we became friends. I did the Rockaware shoot out in Colorado with them. And that's how we just every time I was around, they just tell me, hey, come do this. And then he called me and say, hey, I'm gonna do Rock Boys, the Rock Boy video. I was like, all right, cool. I flew in from that. And it was cool. Like, it was a good little partnership that we had. I wore Estar Carter cleat. He gave me 80 grand for that. He gave me 25K for Rockaware. So it was cool. It's a good little business relationship.
Okay, so y'all never lived together.
Nah, we ain't never lived together. Like,
I didn't think so, but so many people. I never heard that rumor. I think that I was probably overseas at the time. Maybe that when that happened, so I missed that. I missed that whole Lipstick Alley era. I wasn't really, I,
right.
I was a tomboy. I missed a lot of stuff being an athlete. Like not like a girly girl. Like you know, like into that kind of stuff. I'm glad I missed it. Looking back on it now, like it wasn't my
But you know what it is too? But where they have wire image, I was always at these events. So when he had these events, I was always there. Like when they had a Rockaware event, I was always there. I was always next to him or by him. So I can get when people say like, oh, that we were together because I was always around. Like the events were always popping off. At that time, Rockefeller Records and Rockaware was like at its peak. Like it was it was at its peak then.
It was everything.
It was everything at that point.
So I've heard you say a lot of times that Jay-Z and Beyonce are in the Illuminati. Can you speak on the Illuminati? Who's in it? How do you get in? And can you get out?
I don't necessarily even call it the Illuminati because that stuff came from Rome. And I think when I think Illuminati, I think of those old pedophile white dudes that sit over there in Europe. But with J and B, they're being managed. Like I said before, Jay's a Prince Hall Freemason. There's pictures of him at a Prince Hall Freemason meeting. They've done the handshakes. They do all the symbolism and all that. And then, of course, B is controlled by somebody else that's higher up than Jay, which is probably a York Rite, Scottish Rite Freemason. And they are controlled. They're controlled by Rome. Rome controls the entity over here. And of course, you have what I call the synagogue of Satan. They are kind of partnered with Rome to make sure entertainment stays on point, which means selling black folk Satanism. That's all they're doing, selling black folk Satanism. So
how do you get in?
You get in by just having a talent. You have a talent. See, before you had to have great talent. Now, not so much. This back then, you had to have good talent, and they just watch you. And after a while, they come to you and say, "Okay, we can make you bigger. We can make your brand bigger." And who's gonna say no? Do you think if they told Jay, like, all right, you have to sign this deal or you'll go back to being nobody? Him, if you hear his raps and understand how he comes off a little insecure. He's always talking about his looks. He's talking about the girls who said no to him. He talks about the yachts. He talks about money. To me, that's insecurity because he talks about it so much. He talks about so much materialism. He thought he never got it before. So if you threaten to take that away from somebody like him and he would go back to being nothing, he would be a nobody. They wouldn't let him rap. They wouldn't even let him do a mixtape because they control everything. So they told him, okay, we can make you bigger. If you don't do this, this is going to happen to you. That's why he kept retiring so much. When he said, oh, I'm going to retire. And then the time that he retired, his nephew died. So after his nephew died, he came out of retirement and he ain't looked back since.
Did you feel like that was a blood oath, his nephew?
That was that blood oath. Yeah, that's how, if you look up what Freemasons do, that it's a blood oath. They know it's a vow of secrecy. They will never tell you this because they take a vow of secrecy.
Who did Beyonce sacrifice?
Oh, she just lost a cousin. She lost a close cousin that they blamed on somebody else.
2 decades. Like, wouldn't she have to have done it a long time ago?
But the thing is, it ain't just blood. To serve Satan is through blood and through your sexuality. So they're going to come for either. So they could either pimp her out. They're going to have, there's other stuff they do behind the scenes that you don't know. They offer up their kids. It's a lot of stuff that you don't know. You don't see. It ain't always just somebody got to die. It's other stuff. Look at the guys.
Can you get out? Can you get out? Are you in?
No, you can't get out. You can't get out of that. You can't get out.
No one can get out.
No one can get out. You take that blood oath.
What if they come to you and you're like, nah, I don't want to do it?
Then you don't do it. They're not gonna force you.
Is your career pummel? Like, is it done, or can you still become a star?
You can still you won't be a star. You would be, I would say you'd be B-roll. That's what you would be. If you're good and you don't want to take those deals, you would just be B-roll. Like you see, like every time you turn on ESPN, you wouldn't see that player. You would only see LeBron. You would see their guys. They would make sure that if you wanted to get that type of shine, you want those 30 for 30 segments, you got to sign those deals.
Well, how come the B-roll people don't snitch? Like the people that they came to and they were like, no, I don't want to do this. Why don't they say, hey, I was approached by these people to do this to become a star and I turned it down. So like, why won't they say like, what's what? If it's
because they could obviously get traded, they could get released. They don't want to play with their careers that way. Even though they're not under the vow of secrecy or under the oath, they still won't say nothing because they don't want those they're scared that something's going to get taken from them. And it's just not worth it to them to say something a little bit that people won't believe anyway. Just like people don't believe today of what's going on. So it's like, what's the point? Me go out there with a drum and banging. They asked me to do this. And like people are like, what are you talking about? Ain't nothing happening to you. So it's not worth it.
You said the NBA and NFL show solidarity to the LGBTQ plus community solely based on their buying power. Explain that.
I mean, who wanted a male cheerleading squad in the NFL? Who asked for that? Who asked for that? They've had 2 or 3 guys who didn't even last that came out and said they were bi. They just happened to be black, and they're not even on teams anymore. They had one white dude, I think he's from the Oakland Raiders, and he kind of said, yeah, I'm gay. And that's the guy that they want to be the forefront of the LGBTQ community. No one cares. No one has ever asked what our sexuality was when we were drafted. So why is it a big deal now? Because they know the buying power of that community. Gays watch football, they all watch football, but it's the way of how to lower the masculinity of men, especially a masculine sport like football, is to taint it a little bit, to make it a little bit feminine, so it brings in more customers. They know the NFL brand as a brand is dying. They know it is. So it's better to just emasculate it or make it feminine, so kind of bring it all into one little. Somebody, you have to get you. They're not going to just give it to you just because, oh, you're a great basketball player or a great football player. No, that's the way. That's how they trap you. They want your influence. They don't want your talent. They want your influence. If you want this type of life, this Hollywood entertainment life, that means we want to own your influence. That means we want you to throw up the symbolism. That's why you see LeBron do this. You see him he do devil horns and he point up to the sky. He do all of that in his little pregame shows. That's the influence. So kids look at this like, okay, this is the route that I need to go. That's the influence. So if LeBron wants to be in Hollywood, if he wants to have these little segments that he has on HBO, those things have to be paid for.
How come nobody asked me?
You know what? You know why don't ask people like you and ask people like me? Because we uncontrollable. It's our mouths that we can't control our mouths. That's why.
Yeah.
You have to have that.
Control it, but I don't let nobody else control it. That's
like I said, you got to have some bitch in you, and you ain't got that. You ain't got that personality.
Ain't got that. Ain't got that. You once said gay men don't belong in the locker room. You stand on that?
I never said that.
Oh, that was a quote.
They said I say gay men don't. I'm not thinking about gay men. Why am I thinking about gay men in the locker room? Nobody's thinking about that.
Well, there was another question I didn't want to ask you, but somebody said that there was rumors that you were gay. You ever heard
I'm rumored to be gay, but all of my incidents have been with women, or because they think I hate women because of those incidents, so I be gay. But where would be the? I
think it has something to do with like being some men that they feel are super homophobic, which homophobic is not. I want to get into the real definition of homophobia, but men that say things like LGBT, like when you're anti-gay, anti-this and that, all that stuff, people seem to think that's a flip, like you're really gay. And that I've actually experienced that. I notice a lot of men that are like always calling somebody else gay or wanting to punch gay men or like all that kind of stuff. They are taking dick in their butt secretly.
I've never had beef with any gay men. Like I have some of my homeboys and my cousins. I have family members that are gay. I've never beef with gay folk. The only thing I don't like is when they try to program the children with it before the children can make up their minds.
Oh yeah.
That's the only thing I had a problem with. The only time I ever run into gay men or femboys is if I'm going after one of their little idols, their female idols that they love so much. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I really don't. They're not even on my radar right now.
I already know this is going to get some shit. But some people ask me if I'm an ally of the LGBTQ community, and I always say no. And they're like, why? You hate gay people? And I'm like, no, in order to be an ally, you have to be for everything that they're standing for, and I'm not. I'm not standing for, the gender situations where allowing children to decide their gender. I'm not like if your genitals don't define your gender, then why does cutting them off? Like, what does that mean then? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
make that make sense. I don't like that they do push a lot of homophobia on our children, specifically Black children. And I don't like that trans women or men, either way, get to play sports against the opposite sex. Like, that's bullshit to me. Like, I do not agree with that. So that's why I can't consider myself an ally. Does that mean I hate gay people? No. I've gay friends. I have gay family members. I hang out with a lot of gay people. I will do things for the gay community, but I will not just do everything just to say I'm an ally. No.
Right. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to swallow it all because you know what's coming down the pipe is pedophilia. That's the next thing. They want y'all so relaxed with the LGBTQ community that pedophilia is going to come right in and they're going to want their rights. And you know what's coming after them? People who love like zoophilia, bestiality, that's coming next. They want you, they want to bring it all the way down. We're not stopping with this perversion stuff until you get into having sex with animals. That's where they really going with this.
Oh my goodness. Sex with animals. Let's that should be. I've seen women fucking horses and dogs and all kind of animals. Like, how do you get a dog to put their? How does a dog know?
Is you programming, you teaching them, just like you could teach a dog to roll over and play dead and all that. It's the same way. I've seen it too. Look. We've seen white folk do this. It ain't Black folks doing this. I seen a white girl out here talk about there was 9 to 10 ways how to please a dog and how you can get the dog to make out with you and have sex. I was like, yo, it's coming.
Can you speak on the Catholic Church's bastardization of Yeshua?
You mean Jesus? Because the Catholic Church don't call it Yeshua, and Yeshua is Hebrew for salvation. We talking about Yahusha. A lot of the Roman
Maybe they got it wrong. That's just from Instagram.
No, they talk about that too. They use that Yeshua, and they don't understand that Yeshua is actually Hebrew for salvation in Scripture, and they meant Yahusha. But the Roman Catholic Church bastardized Jesus is because they're not talking about Jesus. They're talking about, they use like the Semiramis, Tammuz. They use that. Mary, Mother of Heaven, and all that. That's actually Semiramis. And the baby that you see Mary, they think is Jesus. That's Tammuz. And that's in Scripture too. They all take from Babylon. All Roman Catholic Church takes from different cultures and mix it up. And most of it's from Africa. They mix it up to theirs and they whitewashed it. And then that's what you get out of the Roman Catholic Church. And that's why Christianity and everything else is a wash in that type of idolatry.
Should Southern Blacks who were raised Christians continue to follow? If not, why?
Continue to follow Christianity?
Yeah.
I mean, you from the South, you should stop because you from the South. Like, that's to be slaves and to control you. That's what they use. They use religion. The Baptist religion was created by a white dude in 1800 something, and he was a Freemason. The Seventh-day Adventists, created by a Freemason. Mormon Church, created by the Freemasons. What's another one? Pentecost, created by a Freemason. All major religions that people know, the denominations that they're in, were created by Freemasons around the time when we were still slaves. When we got off this boat, if you go to the plaque called Cherry Hill, it don't say Christians showed up to the shores of this beach or whatever. It says Israelites, and Southern Black folk need to come out of this programming that they need to be in the Baptist church hooping and hollering and falling all over each other with that Kundalini spirit. You need to stop that. You need to go ahead and come back to these roots and start following Israelite brothers and Israelite Hebrew sisters and learn your true identity, because Christianity was given to us when we got off the boat to control us with our own history at that.
So you're not Christian?
No. You don't need to be in a religion to follow the Scripture. If you follow the Bible word for word and what it says, you don't need to be in a religion. The only reason why people are in a religion, because it's a little bit laxed. It's the ability or the doctrine to say, okay, I can keep sinning and never have to pay a toll for keep sinning. I could just say Jesus saves me. But if you read scripture, it was not Jesus who was saving. It was the Most High was saving and killing more in the Bible than Satan was. And it was because they kept breaking law, statutes, commandments. So I don't need to follow a religion because it's too lax. I've been a Christian before. And when you see me get arrested, I was a Christian when I was getting arrested and living wild and reckless. I was like, Jesus got me.
He got me.
Like, look, I was like this.
Look,
Jesus
look
got me.
Look what happened. I'm back out here,
Look,
baby.
yeah.
God
I'm like this. I'm baptized.
God did. Man, so I grew up Baptist Christian, most of my family, but I never liked religion because I never liked the pastors. Like it was different reasons why I didn't like religion, and it was because I knew the pastor was sleeping with everybody in the church and stuff like that. So that kind of made me like, these motherfuckers are fake. Like you can't be saying all this shit and fucking the whole congregation. Like how'd that work?
Right.
You know what I mean? Everybody's talking about it in the church, but you still following this man. You still believe in everything he said. And I'm just like, did God send him? How?
Right.
So it threw me all off. I'm the bad child of my family. I'm devil. I'm the devil. I will go to church for the music. I like music. I like songs, but any music. It doesn't have to be religious music, but something about the church music, I enjoy it. Right. And it makes me feel good, especially a good voice singing it. That's why I really used to like church for real. I didn't give a shit what was honestly going on, you know, but
when you heard that doom 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 doom, it gets you in. That's the whole point of it. It pulls you into it.
Yeah, that shit was fun. Like it was fun. I that's the only part I liked. And other than that, I was asleep.
Right.
Next question. Is the entire Bible true? And before you answer this question, let me say this, because I've spoken to some historians who have told me that the entire Bible is not true. It's a book filled with stories, great stories. Is some of it true? Yes. But they told me the second, just answer the question. Do you think that it's true?
It's all true. And people are talking about, when they talk about the Bible, they're talking about the 66 canon books that the Roman Catholic Church have gotten their hands on. And most of it is from the New Testament, because most of the New Testament was translated in Greek. But they're not talking about the apocryphal books. They're not talking about the books that were taken out. There's 100 books that the Roman Catholic Church themselves have taken out through the Council of Nicaea and the Council of Trent. They've taken books out. So people can say, oh, the Bible's not true, but you haven't read the entire gospel. So what you're saying is you're talking about the New Testament, because that's what people go into to find out it's fake, that the New Testament doesn't sound right.
How does someone get a hold of the real Bible, like the real stuff? Like if it's not that book that you can buy in the store, where does one get that?
I mean, you can get those apocryphal books. Like those apocryphal books they're the Sefer. That's on your app store. It's called the Sefer. They have the books that were taken out. Now they put them back in, like the books of Enoch, Jubilees, Jasher, Ezra, Baruch. Those books are in there. If you read the scripture, see, most people come into reading the Bible already with a I'm against religion mindset. But if you read it and if you go to, say, if you Googled who King Solomon was, it's going to pull up what King Solomon was. If you read the scriptures, you're going to understand those places that they were talking about were mostly in Africa. You just have to do your own research to find it. They're not going to make it easy for you. They want you to be like, okay, the Bible is fake. Look who's translating it. Our enemies are translating somebody else's history. It's like if I wrote a book about your life, and if I'm the one that's translating it, and I can take words out and add words in, yeah, I can make it seem like it's a fairy tale and fantasy, and get you to believe that it's fake if I leave certain parts out.
Good point. What are your thoughts on the book of Enoch and how it relates to today's talk of aliens?
There ain't no aliens, man. You don't even need a book of Enoch to know there is no such thing as no damn aliens. We know them as the fallen angels.
There's no aliens.
There is no aliens. There is no space. We sitting underneath a firmament. The guy who, Werner von Braun, smartest Nazi scientist that got recruited over here for NASA. Before this man passed, when he passed away, he put on his tombstone, Psalms, I think it's Psalms 19:1, which talks about the firmament. This man knew, the smartest man in astro, science and all that, knew that there is no space. There is no moon outside of the firmament. The sun's not outside of the firmament. Everything is local. Everything spins. And that's the part of the book of Enoch shows you, is that the sun and moon rotate. They go in and out of their gates. They rotate. That's what the whole book of Enoch is really about, what calendar we are supposed to be on. We are on a Gregorian calendar, which is only 480, it's like 485 years old. That's not the calendar we're on. It's not the calendar that was on during the days of Enoch. The days are 364, period. That means 30, 30, 30. And there's 4 days, which is the incendiary days, which are, fall, autumn, winter, summer, spring. Those days are added on. But everything is supposed to be equal under 364 days. So that's why the book of Enoch is so important, because it shows you, or it tells you, how the sun and moon move around each other, and also how we calculate the full moon, how we calculate when the month's going to end and month's going to begin. That's how they did it. Like, we look at the moon and it's like, oh, okay, it's full, and we don't care. But that's really, when you see a full moon, that's when the new month starts under the Enochian calendar. So when you see the full moon, okay, all right, we're in month 1, and that's how we do it. And until you see the next full moon, then we're in month 2. That's how they did it back then.
I always thought the full moon meant people was horny.
See that you learned it from like Yoruba or Voodoo or like a West African thing, when they saw that, like, oh, it's time to hunch when you see the full moon out. Yeah.
I'm ghetto, I'm ignorant, but you have actually taught me a lot of stuff. I just really, I find that these things are probably important for me to learn, but man, I have so many things on my mind. It's so tough for me to tap into some things like this. I think once my life settles down, there's a lot of stuff that I really want to learn. I'm learning about the true history of the world, of this country or corporation. Like, I'm doing that now for my son, because I want to be smart enough or educated enough to pass some things on to him, so he doesn't have to learn so much stuff that I didn't learn as well,
Right.
So I'm taking my time, but I'm really learning history first, the true history, through a great guy named Uriah Brandon, who's a historian. And I can't wait for him to see this episode, because I know he's gonna tell me what he thinks about the stuff that you're saying.
But what type of part of history that you're interested in?
Like what America really was, like America being Egypt, for example. Things
Why do
like
people believe that?
Well, there's information. Do you believe that this country is not a part of Egypt or a part of Northern Africa? Do you think that the Mississippi River is just the Nile River? Do you believe that there are more pyramids here in the United States than there are in Africa? And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot. I'll definitely send you some links to some of his documentaries of some of his research, just to see. It'd be interesting to see what you thought.
Yeah, because the only reason I feel like everybody's talking about that now is because we've been talking about Deuteronomy 28:68 in the scripture, which says, I'm going to send you into Egypt by ships. And when he said Egypt, he meant America, which means we want to go into bondage. Like the very first bondage that our people were in was in Egypt. So he said, all right, the only hard bondage we knew for a long period of time was Egypt. So he tells us, as a curse, we're going to go back into it because we didn't follow his law, statutes, commandments. And Egypt is America. So that's why Freemasons, they pull from Egyptology and bring all the Egyptology stuff here. That's why we have obelisks over here. How we got pyramids over here. Even if they're fabricated, they're still pyramids. So I get why people start saying more now that America is Egypt. But if you look at the old maps, I'm talking about 1800 century maps, 1700 century maps, it'll open your eyes to where certain things are. So yes, please send me those links. I want to do a little cross checking.
Absolutely. We're almost done. Okay.
So we can keep going.
Oh, we keep going. Well, I got like about 5 or 6 more.
I'm actually waiting for a good question to cut me. Like I'm waiting for that one question.
I don't have any. That's why I said I haven't done enough fucking research. I wish I had somebody else on here with me. But you know what? This might just be part 1.
Okay.
Let me do some work. We're gonna spin the block and have your ass back on here when I got some information. I can challenge you, because right now I can't challenge someone that I have not outstudied.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that's disrespectful. I feel like it's disrespectful to me sometimes when people challenge me on sports topics and things and they haven't done the work I've done. So I would never disrespect you in that way. But I'm glad you took this interview. This is just an introduction. How about that?
Okay.
Matter of fact, maybe I'll have you and Uriah on together.
Okay.
That would be very interesting.
Right.
Okay, there we go. I'm gonna make that happen. But let's get to this. Let me get something very interesting. So Dick Buckus passed away yesterday, right? You post some stuff about numbers as if you didn't believe he passed in his sleep. I don't get it. Explain the numbers thing, because you talk about a lot of numbers and everybody's saying like, oh, you can always make numbers make sense to you if you just add them up right. You're always taking away this zero, adding this and subtracting this. How does all that make sense?
Because you have to understand, see, people don't do the research enough to know how these people think. If you go back to the days of the Pythagorean theorem, Pythagoras, he had a specific type of organization that's what they dedicated their lives to, is numbers and shapes. They even taught you that, you don't know this, but they taught you this when you were a child. If you look at Donald Duck, Math Magic Land, they told you how Freemasons use with a language called Gematria. If you look at the movie Wanted with Morgan Freeman, I forgot the other guy's name, but Angelina Jolie's in it too. When they talk about the loom of fate, they're talking about Gematria. They've been telling you about numerology, you just didn't pay attention to it. If you watch the movie, the number 23 with Jim Carrey, watch that movie. It's all about numbers. Yes, you can make all numbers fix and all that. But if you look at Ray Lewis's Hall of Fame speech, he talks about numbers himself. Look at Ray Lewis's Hall of Fame speech when he's talking about, oh, I choose 52 for this reason. And he goes, 5 + 2 is 7. It's creation. He's Omega Psi-Phi too, so he's close to being a Prince of Freemason. So the language that they use, that they hide their little programming in, is all based on letters and numbers. It's a language they call Gematria, but I don't make up the cipher. I don't make up the certain numbers. It is what it is. I follow the trends of it. So if the Chaldeans count their numbers and letters this way, these people will use it to total their number. Their favorite numbers are 6, 666, and 33. That's literally the only numbers they'll really use in front of your face. You've seen 33 so many times, you just don't know it. When they talked about COVID for the last 2 years, you've heard 33,000 people. You've heard 33 victims. You heard 33 children. You've heard it, but you just don't know what those numbers mean. But they put it in front of your face. I don't change those numbers to make it what it is. I've showed people, if you look up Letitia James, Kevin James, that meme that came out, and Jimmy Butler, they're all under the same Babylonian cipher. I don't change and make up these letters. I don't make anything fit. It is what it is. If from A to Z is like 1 to 26, I can give you, let's say, a programming number from out of that just using a name. So say if I can't think of them out of my top of my head, but if I wanted to mock you and say that you would, here's a great one. The number 42 is, and 42 and 59 is always on black folk. When you see Jackie Robinson's jersey, that number is not by mistake. Number 42 in a specific numerology is the N word. 59 equals Negro. 59 equals slave. So when you see like 59 black people, or you see 42 black people, they're really mocking, you just don't know it. But it's the N word.
So did Jackie Robinson pick his number, or they gave him that number?
They gave him that number. The Martin TV show, what was his door number? 42. 42. Right.
But so Shanae was 41.
Huh?
Shanae was 41. What that mean?
But shit, it don't mean nothing. But 42 means something. For black folk, it means something. But yeah. let me digress. I don't change these numbers. I don't make the letters up. They are with our. It's just like algebra. People went to school and forget that they did algebra with A equals X.
You should forget goddamn algebra, because that shit was not fucking useful. Wasting my time. I'm sorry.
But they taught you that though. But they taught you numerology that way. That if you could put A could equal 7, A could equal 8. That's what it was. That's what they were telling. They was teaching us their language. We just were like, why we need to learn this? We don't do nothing with this. But to them, they do stuff with it. So basically, if they could lay out a whole algebra equation in front of your face, you wouldn't know what they wanted to do to you because you didn't understand their language. You didn't do the math. But Dick Buck just did. I mean, come on. For him to die at age 80 and to die on 10-5, when it's common sense, he just reversed the 51. That's all they did.
How do you know it's reversing the? So how do you know to reverse 51 and take out the 0?
Because I know the number that they were looking for. If I know that, okay, his jersey number is 51, why would I add 10 plus 5?
And I know that you said that it's been 51 years since, it was 51 years since something as well. And I'm just like, how the fuck, how do you, how?
Because you just have to, like I said before, if you do the work, you do the studying, and you know how these people move and think, which means I have to see it. If I know that's how they think, that means I would have to see exactly how they did it. If this is not my first rodeo of doing these little number things. I've been watching it for the last 2 or 3 years. So I've been seeing them, how they added up. I can see how they add up 666. I can see how they added up 33, but they usually tell you straight out what 33 is. But that's just how I do it. Most people, they're not paying attention to it. And if it's not really your thing, you're not going to ever get it. It's just not hard to know it. It's just you need to take patience and time to actually study what it actually is and take it serious. People don't take it serious.
I remember last year, I think it was last year, and when Damar Hamlin was injured, you said something about that the Bills were going to win the Super Bowl because of this, or there was like some conspiracy, and they didn't. Are you ever wrong about some of the predictions that you make about these things?
No, I said that it would make sense for them to have Buffalo Bills and Damar Hamlin in the Super Bowl along with Dallas Cowboys, and kind of I would think that would be more profitable for the NFL to do that, since they could just run with the whole Damar Hamlin thing into the Super Bowl. And they did the Jerry Jones's thing where he was at this high school or university at the, I guess like a black person was going to school or something like that. And
he was part of the kids that were harassing the first black kid that went to his high school.
Right. I was like, that makes sense. Like, the NFL is a business. They tell you before the games, they tell you after the games that it's entertainment. They say this has been a presentation of the National Football League. At the end of the game, thanks for watching. It was a presentation. That's right. What you see.
It does say that.
Entertainment. So if I could sell you a storyline, that storyline made more sense to me than having the Eagles and the Chiefs play. But now if you look at Travis Kelce dating Taylor Swift, you can see how it led up to that, of kind of bringing it into that. Because why? He's promoting Pfizer, and she is like, I mean, she's like the white woman. If you look up white woman in the dictionary, that's Taylor Swift. Like, so it's like, damn, I need to go get my Pfizer shot because I love Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. That's how that works.
Oh. You said the post Damar Hamlin injury kickoff return for a touchdown by the Bills was scripted. You said sports in general are rigged and scripted. How?
I mean, how? You just pay attention. Before every game, we get a list, 10 to 15 play list, regardless of where we are. I mean, the formations are changed based on hashtags. We get a list of plays. They tell us before the game, these are the first 15 plays we're going to run. Regardless, we're going to run these plays. Regardless of what we're doing, we're running these 15 plays. That's them telling us or programming us of running these plays. If you can control both sides of the team, like, all right, really all you need to control is the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator on the opposite team. And you can manage the game that way. If you want the score to be high, all you got to do is say, I'm going to call this play. Every play can beat a defensive scheme. You just got to put the defense in that scheme. So if they're controlling both sides of the fence, you can do whatever you want. You can rig it. You can script it. It's entertainment. If they don't want people to be bored, which what people were back in the day, in the 2000s, people were complaining that they weren't passing the ball enough. There was too many runs, that the game was slow. So to the fans' detriment, they was like, all right, we got to spruce it up a little bit. So we got to make 50 throws a game. We got to have 55 points a game. So what they would do is, it's easy. All you got to do is put the defense in a different situation and have the offense run a play. And they would rig these games this way. Look at Tom Brady's whole career. I mean, he good and all, but damn, some of those plays that he was getting off, he needed help. A lot of those players needed help.
So are you trying to tell me that these defensive coordinators
They're
are in
Freemasons
on this?
too. They're
So they're
Freemasons.
all just saying we're gonna lose this game so that we can please our master.
Yes, because the NFL don't. The NFL is a revenue sharing league. It don't matter who's the best team. They sharing that money. The
Yeah.
Patriots, at the time the Patriots was the top tier team, they wasn't getting more money because they were a top tier team. The CBA, they all revenue share. So the poorest team at the time, like the Arizona Corners, like the poorest team, they still shared the revenue that the New England Patriots were raking in. So it's not like baseball. Well, even the baseball is scripted too, but it's not like these guys are individuals. These owners did make you think that these owners are like for their organization, that we really are like against Jerry Jones and we're against this owner. It's not like that. It doesn't matter who's
Well,
the
I
best
believe
team.
that. The reason I say this is because I know that teams will cut players or start somebody else knowing they're not better. They don't care if they actually are winning the Super Bowl, but
Right.
if you have a chance to win the Super Bowl, I would think that whatever team it is, they would go for it. But some of the sorrier teams, they don't care if they're not in contention. They'll cut somebody so fast. They don't give a shit. To make it make sense for their books and all that kind of stuff. But I still it's hard for me to believe that you can get these coordinators on board to stage plays for the defense to be in to win games.
Why? Why is that so hard to believe if they can control both sides?
I don't know. I'll have this thing in my mind that says everybody wants to be a champion. Everybody wants to be the winner, the best.
Nobody want it. It's entertainment. There's no point of trying to be the best. I mean, yeah, we want to win games, but at the end of the day, our checks still cash whether we winning or losing.
You didn't know any of this when you were playing, right?
No,
Do
I
you
didn't know
think
anything.
any players know this while they're playing and they
No,
believe
some
it?
of them have came out and said that is scripted and all that, but it ain't been many. Guys have been like 2 years removed and been like, yeah, it's scripted. Deshaun Foster came out and started saying it was scripted, but we've been saying that way before him, though. People just don't. You have to know the game itself. You have to be on the field, feel it to know, like, all right, something ain't right. Like this don't make sense. You would have to see. You have to know how the game has been played throughout history to now get to like the 2000s and be like, something is not right with these games, and you would have to pay attention to that. Most people are not paying attention to it because they're fans of it. They still think relatively like, oh, this is like what I played like in high school. This is how I played in college. So they don't really separate the game as a business. They still see it as a child's love. Like they still see it as that. So that's why it's hard to get people to that, which is why these people pack these stadiums and spend on their money on these tickets, because they just don't see it. They too in love with it.
You got my brain spinning right now. Okay. Okay. Question. How do you know there's a devil or a heaven or a hell? Like, how do you know that?
It's like I said before, when you asked me about my reckless life, I said I pushed myself to a brink. I really stressed my spirit and my soul, and I saw some things that I wasn't prepared to see. I saw things that didn't have a smell, that didn't have a figure, I couldn't swing at it, I couldn't hit it, I couldn't touch it, but I saw it.
So you're saying there's no aliens, but there's these people or these what are they?
There are spirits and demonic entities that roam around you, and if you tear a hole in the hedge that's about you doing wickedness, then you will see it. And at the time, I was, like I said before, I was heavily into Molly, I was heavily into MDMA, and I'm talking about I could do MDMA, ecstasy on a weekend. I could hit at least 10 to 20 pills. When you do that over time and it's screwing up your brain, it's just, you remove a hedge you didn't know you had, and you start seeing things that you didn't understood why you saw them, why you were high, and you just see them. Like at that time, my daughter didn't sleep really well. So once I used to have these little episodes, and the next week I would have her for the week. She would wake up crying. I would think, why is she crying? But she could not sleep well. And I would catch little shadowy figures, almost her size at the time, running around. I would walk by one and I would see it and it would chase off. So I understood why she wasn't sleeping well, is because the foolishness that I was doing was causing a tear within my hedge, where I was causing demonic entities to be around me because of the activity that I was doing. Like would have sex literally for 8 to 9 hours on ecstasy and drugs. I mean, it would be a long time. I would just keep going.
Hold on.
And when you do that, you cause those type of entities to come out.
I gotta put the church finger up for that. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You said you would have sex for 8 to 9 hours?
Yes, it's possible to do that if you're
with one girl?
Yeah.
And her pussy would stay wet that whole time? Like, how was this happening?
I mean, you drink, you drink, you stop, you drink, you keep going, you drink.
Oh, okay. Like,
so when it's slow, like when you on those people who know who are MDMA, you don't do nothing fast.
I've never done any of those drugs before. I've thought about it. You think it's a good idea to try any of those drugs?
I wouldn't try it at this point in time. With as much of this activity right now, I wouldn't do it at this time. All that fentanyl that's going on right now, I wouldn't even touch that stuff right now. But I'm just saying, you don't do anything fast on those type of those things. Everything's slow and meticulous and all that. So if you do it for a long period of time, you obviously create that spiritual energy and you draw entities to yourself that you didn't see. So that's why I believe and know that there has to be a heaven, there has to be a hell, because I seen the plane of how those demons takes place. I felt it. I just know. I just felt it. I've had visions when I woke up and when I was called to my heritage, or called to start talking about the Bible and doing my teaching. I've had visions. I've understood myself as a very spiritual person already. But when I start having visions and
been there.
it's like that's the whole thing with faith. We have to know that we have to feel, we have to have faith and believe. That's the whole thing about having faith. You have to actually believe something that you do not see and do not know of. And that's literally the trick of this whole world, is to believe something that you have not laid your eyes on and believe you're going there or not going there. And what you do in this present life will dictate where you go. That's the whole war. That's the whole point of why we are here. A lot of people think we're here to make money, be famous, and all that other BS. But
do you think there's a world after that as well? Like what were we here before now? Was there a world before now? Is this our first time living?
This is our first time, man. I don't believe in all that reincarnation and past life stuff. No one has ever talked about. People believe past life stuff, but never actually seen or felt or know anybody who had a past life, and that's some BS that they made up in their dream and all that. But
how do you know there's another life after this then? If you've never known anybody to tell you, you've
read it. I mean, I read it. I mean, you read these things. Like, I only stick to, I'm not saying I go on Google and like listen to like people who've seen hell and seen heaven. I'm talking about scripture based.
Okay. Are people the real Hebrew Israelites?
Yes, but we should stop. We should drop Hebrew Israelites. The Israelites were Hebrew because Hebrew actually
flash.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that, because we are Hebrews based on. It wasn't even Hebrews in scripture. They call it Ebers. It was called Eber. Hebrews came from Eber. Eber was a descendant of Shem. We are Shemites. We come from the seed of Shem.
Yes, so I do know that.
Abraham comes from Shem. Isaac or Yitzchak comes from Shem. Yaakov or Jacob comes from Shem. So we come from Shem. And Eber was in that line, was in that same lineage. So that's where Hebrew comes from. It was translated to Hebrew, but it was really Eber.
There's a rumor that the now Jew, the white Jew, took the religion because they're obsessed with Black people or culture or the land. I don't know.
No, it ain't that.
Why did they steal that religion or that
Because
calling? They
you would
want to
have to,
be the God's chosen people. Why did they do that?
because you have to look at where their descendants come from. If you know scripture, at the time of the Messiah, he was talking to Sadducees and Pharisees who, when that little argument happened, he said that you of your father the devil, and you talk your language, da 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 da. But he was saying they had the conversation and said, well, we have never been in slavery, but we are the seed of Abraham. What they mean was they are the seed of Edom. Esau is hated and cut off. So that's why they believe that they are the chosen people. No, they're Esau's chosen people, and Esau is the most hated man in all of scripture, and he was cut off. He was not chosen. So if you can control this world, which is the Edomites control this world, they make themselves the chosen people because their very first ancestor sold the birthright. If anybody knows the story between Esau and Jacob, he sold his birthright, so he no longer is part of Abraham. So they're trying to, they can't buy their birthright back. So the reason why they call themselves the chosen people, because they're trying to buy their birthright back by making us swallow this thing that they're the chosen people, but they're not.
For people to claim to be the chosen people, why are they so evil? Why is
Because
there so much?
like I said, because they are of their father, the devil, and they that's all the works of Satan. They do the works of Satan in order to be the chosen people on this plane, on this flesh plane. They are the chosen people, but on the spiritual plane, we are the chosen people.
This going to be a part
We
two.
cooking, yeah.
Okay? I got to bring somebody on here to challenge your ass. I want to argue. I like to argue. Okay.
All right.
So I'm gonna bring somebody else. But last question. I think this is a really good question for you to get some shit off. Okay. Tell me something everyone should know about this world that we live in.
It is all scripted. It doesn't matter what president is up next. It doesn't matter what politician. It doesn't matter where you vote, how you vote, who you vote. It is all scripted. We are not changing the trajectory of where we're going. We're going completely straight into the Antichrist. Everything that we're seeing right now is in biblical prophecy. It doesn't matter who steps up, who sits down, who takes whose place. We are not changing from this trajectory. It doesn't matter what happens. We're going straight into prophecy. And people do not understand it because people look at this world through religious eyes or through European eyes, and they don't like it. So then they reject every single thing and don't do their own research. They don't do their own documenting. They don't pay attention to this world. This world is completely fake. This world is to keep you doing absolutely nothing while everything around you. So by the time that you really get the chance to do something, it's going to be too late. It's already going to come and go. You're not going to have the footing that you think you're going to have when they change this system. This system is going to get destroyed. This is not just prophecy. This is what they want to do. They want to change everything about our currency. So you're going to see blackouts. They already been putting this in movies and stuff. People not paying attention. There's going to be a blackout through a cyber attack. The banks aren't going to be spitting out money. The checks aren't going to be clearing. Then after that, then it's going to be a civil war in the streets. Then they're going to couple that with the presidential election, which is already dictated. It's already scripted who's going to be the next president. They're going to confuse you with that. Then they're going to bring in the alien invasion and say, "Oh, look, this is our new enemy now." And then we're going to fall for that foolishness. And then sooner or later, the man of sin or the lawless one, the Antichrist, is going to come on the main stage and say, "I can fix all of your problems." Everybody's going to want to take a mark and put it in their hands. If you see what's going on in Whole Foods, if you see Whole Foods, they already got a thing for your hand to pay for stuff. Mm-hmm. If you see CVS or Walgreens, when they got those little doors to open up to get drinks and stuff out of, they already have things to see a mark on your head or a mark on your hand. It's coming, and people are not paying attention to it, but it's coming. This world is so fake and ridiculous. It's like a circus. It's a playground. Nothing of this stuff is real.
What are we supposed to do? What are you doing? Like, I know that you're educating people, but what should we be doing to get to heaven and not go to hell?
We should be following what's going on in scripture, which means it's very simple. You pay attention to what the Israelites did to make them successful. The scripture is the best form of knowing what happened, or I mean, what worked for them to be blessed and what didn't work for them to be in a curse or go into captivity or be killed or slain. It's really simple. You know what the Shabbats are, which is the day of rest. You honor that. You do the Passover. You do the feast days. Even if they're the old feast days, you still do them. I still do them. And you get credit. It's like spiritual credit. You're showing, just like Satan's people are having blood oaths and sacrificing people. Our creator is not even asking for blood. He's not even asking for your sexuality. He's asking you for take time off to pay attention to what days are his feast days and what days you should rest from work and doing foolishness, and just live right or live righteously and stop being fools to this matrix. This thing wants you to be a fool.
Who is he? Is he Jesus? Is he who is Yeshua? Who is it? Who is your God? Who is
our creator name is Yahuwah. His name is Yahuwah. Yes.
And that's who you're following. And then you can learn these things in the actual Bible. In the Bible that's being sold in bookstores, or are you saying you have to get the real one?
No, just I would come away from the King James, because the King James only has 66 books, and they only have the Eurocentric words like Lord, God, Jesus. That's not what our people call them. It's Elohim, Adonai, Yahuwah. If you look at the names before the Europeans changed, like say Jeremiah, his name is Yeremi Yahu. And the reason why certain Israelites had Yahu at the end of their names, because the creator was Yahuwah. Okay. So you get to pull it all together. You don't look at it as a religion. You look at it as a people who were successful by doing these specific days and being righteous and living by the Torah, not by religion, but living by the Torah. And that's what made them successful. They were destroyed by going into other people's religions that were around about them, like the Canaanites and the Jebusites and the Moabites and all that. They were destroyed from going after that. It's all in scripture. So we can be successful and we can beat this system by just doing really basic stuff.
So everyone can follow this. It's not like
everyone can follow. If you read scripture, when the Israelites came out of Egypt, they didn't come with just themselves. They came with other nations and people who wanted to follow with us. They call them Gentiles. They call them strangers. They all came. They all are. That's where we come with the doctrine with being grafted in. Paul talks about being grafted in. Yes. Because there are branches within our nation, or people who are just wicked and foolish are going to be cut off. White folk or whoever, any other race that wants to follow how we follow, they will be grafted into a specific tribe in order to be around us, and they will be taken care of just like we are being taken care of. But we come first. Since we are the ones that were in slavery multiple times and destroyed, we come first. So I'd rather be getting ready to go into my blessings and not going under the sword by the time he gets ready to come back or come down. So that's what we're all preparing for.
So we could die before he comes back or comes down, right?
Depending on how we live.
You're not vegan, right?
No.
So do you think that food plays any part in any of this?
Yes. If you read Leviticus, I don't eat. I'm from Maryland. So I used to eat a lot of blue crab with the Old Bay on top of it and all that. I stopped eating that because we're not supposed to eat shellfish.
Fire, right?
Right. Right. Yes.
Let me tell you, I'm vegan, but that is a weakness for me. I still dabble in. I'm allergic to shellfish, but the only shellfish I'm not allergic to is crab. So I will indulge like maybe once a month. I might give myself a crab.
And the thing is, we're not supposed to be eating it. No, because it's unclean. So we're lobster, shrimps. Nope. Okay. They're insects. I eat beef, chicken.
So they're not bad. They're not bad.
Not beef, not chicken. Pork is bad for us.
Okay.
Any animal that's unclean, any animal that literally is used to clean up this earth is bad for us. Like, so when people eat shrimp, crab, lobster, those are insects of the sea. They eat up the bottom stuff. They're bottom feeders.
Fire though, right?
Fire, but it's something that we have to give up.
Yeah. I mean, I gave up all the other meats, but
Mhm.
the crab, and I'll eat fish sometimes too. I do like a nice little piece of fish every now and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I always feel like, you know, diet is so important to longevity in life.
Yes, that's true
You know what
too.
I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
that's why I'm like, if you're doing everything you're doing and your diet isn't healthy, what's the point?
Right.
Does that mean when you die, you still going where you going? If you were practicing the faith properly, you still going there?
I mean, yeah, you still going if you're practicing the faith and you stay away from unclean foods, you still going there. But if you just going there with a clean diet, you could
And
still
not,
be
not
out here
practicing.
sinning. You ain't,
I'm
yeah,
still laying on the sword.
yeah, you still laying on the sword. The Most High ain't gonna be like, damn, girl, you like a lot of couscous, don't you? But damn, I just seen you like have sex with like 8, 9 guys at the same time. Like, no, you're
Oh
not coming up
God,
into the kingdom.
we ain't even gonna get into the sex part of it. Oh my God. So listen, we have to wrap this up. Please tell everyone where they can follow you. If there's any websites, if your Instagram, social media, anything that you want people to know, to hear more about you, to learn more about your practices.
I have a podcast. It's called Sight to the Blind. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. I talk a lot of spiritual stuff. I bring a little bit of worldly stuff to kind of equal it with what we're seeing in Scripture. And I talk about, I don't Mark, Matthew, Luke, John you to death. I talk about all of these scriptures. I talk about Enoch, Jubilees, and Jasher. I'm on Instagram the number 2, Larry Johnson, the number 7. And my backup page is Sight to the Blind, Sight with the number 2, the blind. And those are my socials.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 7. As always, if you like what you read, let me take my glass off. Oh, blurry. Let me go back on here. If you like what you saw, you like what you heard, please subscribe, like, comment, pass my link around. Everyone's asking for the audio version of this podcast. Once I get my subscriptions up to a certain number, I don't know what number I want right now, but I think we're at like 3,200 right now. Once I get more subscribers on, I will make this an audio podcast, but I need subscribers. I need y'all in here and get my numbers up, and I will turn this into an audio only podcast and put it on all the platforms that you guys can just listen to it so you don't have to come to YouTube. But I love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Peace.